Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I'm your host, Rody John, and today we talk to Zodiak. We talk all about how he got into pro wrestling, the independent scene, and so much more. Zodiak is not only doing great things with himself when it comes to the pro wrestling scene, but he's helping others as well. We will obviously get right into that here in a minute. But first, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast, all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Zodiak. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good. About yourself?
Oh, not too bad.
Oh,
Just watching a couple of your matches on YouTube.
oh, okay. That's one way to put yourself to sleep at night.
No, it's. I always love watching local wrestling in general, but like especially ones where there's maybe 20 people in the crowd. Now, I'm always a big person to like see how venues are set up and the way they look, and obviously the way things are filmed too. So that's all interesting to me. So watching local wrestling sometimes is better than watching the bigger stuff that we're used to, because again, you get to see more of the local flavor.
Yeah, I like the crowd interaction too when they're like that. Sometimes you'll look out there and you're like, oh, there's only 20, 30 people. It's like, that kind of sucks. But then like that gives you more people to a more narrow audience, you know, and it makes the guys work harder sometimes too, because they got more they got to hustle a little bit harder to get a response sometimes.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I was halfway through the match and I was thinking, I was thinking about like, oh, okay, there's maybe only 20 people out there, but in my head I was like, well, A, you're getting the reps in, and then B, you could just, for the most part, have the time of your life, because, what's the pressure of 20 people? I mean, not that you obviously don't want them to come back the next time, but what's the pressure of 20 people as opposed to like 20,000 or whatever?
Right. What match was it, or what show?
That one was, you're facing Omega?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from a year ago, and then the other one was in New South Wrestling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the one in Omega, I think that was that Kentucky Elite Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long match too.
Yeah, that one went about 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were out there for a while. We built that one up for a minute and stuff. It's weird. That show was weird because it's a local crowd that comes. So, like, they'll average 50 to 100 people. Sometimes it's a little less depending on the weather and all. But it's the same people that come constantly. So, so you get to know them. They get vested in everything. And the more they come, though, the harder it is to get a reaction out of them sometimes because they've seen so much stuff. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially if they've seen you as many times. Like, how long's that company been around now?
They're not running anymore. I think they ran for about 8 years, 7, 8 years, something like that. They kind of they ended up selling to another guy, and then the guy rebranded it as Elite Wrestling Alliance, and they're still running out of that Frankfurt, and I think they're going to be in Richmond area. So I know I've got a date for them. I think it's March 30th in Richmond. They're going to start running up there. So.
Okay, very nice. So for those, as people are hearing, I'm having a wonderful conversation with Zodiak. So tell us, what does the Kentucky wrestling scene look like? Because obviously, I was talking to somebody the other day, and it seems to me that America is becoming again regional, where you have these big promotions in certain parts of the country. Like up in the Pacific Northwest, you have Defy, and then in the SoCal, you had PWG. That one is still kind of up in the air as to what they're doing. I think the same thing with Warrior in the Chicago area. DFW has VIP. Pele's doing a great job here as well down in Houston. I mean, there's so many down there. You could go on with every region, but from there you also have the other, quote unquote smaller companies, but they're still great companies and having good talent come through there. So for those who haven't been to Kentucky or seen a wrestling show there, what does kind of the wrestling scene kind of look like in Kentucky?
it's a lot like anywhere else, honestly. Kind of like what you said. You've got some of your more higher base promotions. Like you've got your OVWs up in Louisville.
Right.
New South Wrestling runs there in Lawrenceburg, that Lawrenceburg Frankfurt area. They're a pretty big one. And then you've got like the smaller kind of like, and a lot of them are seemingly now like sister promotions. You'll have like Elite Wrestling Alliance. They do a lot of talent trade with, New South Wrestling. And then you've got Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. They're more of that Southern Kentucky wrestling, Eastern Kentucky wrestling. So it's more of that Southern style, but they're a pretty good sized promotion. They've been running for a while now, but they really kind of ramped up this past year, and then they did take off for basketball season because they're in Eastern Kentucky, and it's hard to compete with that down there, plus the weather in the mountains. It's just not safe to run. But they draw, heck, the last school show I was at, they draw 500 to 1,000 people, and for a Kentucky show, that's pretty good.
That's really good, yeah.
Yeah. And
now,
I'm trying to think of who else runs in Kentucky. Generation Next has been running in Kentucky up in Cynthiana. They've been kind of hit or miss through the year, and they've put on some really good shows. They've got one coming up February 3rd in Cynthiana, and it's stacked out really nice. They've got Josh Alexander coming in.
Jeez.
Yeah, I got a couple of Moose was at their last one. That's legendary Larry D's promotion.
Okay.
So when they do these big like quarterly shows, they go all out on those, and it's like an all day thing. So,
wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah, Kentucky's some good wrestling history though. That's where I started at. So.
No, you're right, and yeah, I mean, like you said, with the OVW's having a huge boom right now because of what Al Snow's done, and obviously what's happening with Netflix. So they're on like another level right now, which is fantastic because you need more of the the regional independent wrestling to get more of a spotlight. And I love all the guys that still, and girls that, obviously are signed to the contracts to a TNA, to a, not Impact, obviously they're TNA again, TNA, AEW, but still work the independent shows because obviously they love pro wrestling and they love, especially when they love working with the younger talent to see who the next generation coming up is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, OVW's really picked up. They were kind of up and down for a while, but they had some good things in the works in the background, come to find out. And I talked to a lot of the people that work for them, some backstage, some just the regular wrestlers, this and that. They're on my list to go up and actually work this year. I was going to go last year, and it just ended up not happening. Just scheduling and whatnot. Just didn't work out at the time because I was going to do a couple house shows for them and test out some things character-wise and gimmick-wise. And then all the stuff with Netflix happened and this and that and everything else. I'm like, oh, great. So that really didn't put a hold on much, but their kind of travel season ended before I really got a chance to jump on that one. So I'm going to talk to them again this year probably when spring comes up and see about going up there and doing some work. I make gear and stuff too, so I make wrestling gear for some of their guys, and I know a lot of their guys in production and everything. Yeah, so, and I even asked a couple of them that do some of the scouting, and I said, so is it harder to get on with them now since they're doing the Netflix deal and everything? And honestly, they were like, honestly, no, it's really not. They're going to be a little more picky who they put on TV, but since they're doing more shows now, they need more people and a variety of talent. So I was like, okay, cool.
Very nice. Well, let's go all the way back in time. What is your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Watching like Saturday Night's Main Event and stuff like that with my mom at 9 and 10 years old. She was a big Hulk Hogan fan. Loved Hulk Hogan. Which I mean, as a kid too. It was weird. I liked the bad guys. I did. I liked like Jake Roberts and Ted DiBiase and Rick Rude and all them guys. Papa Shango, all the characters. And Mom's like, no, you're supposed to like the good guys here. You say your prayers, take your vitamins. That's the guy right there. And I'm like, this guy's got a snake. He's cool. Look at him.
Yeah. The heels are always more fun.
Yeah, that ended up being a premise for a lot of my work later on. So, but yeah, we sat and watched wrestling. We still sit and watch wrestling every now and then. 20 some odd years later, 30 some odd years later, if it's on and I'm over there for a visit. And she's like, "I'll sit down and watch SmackDown," or whatever comes on the local TV, because she don't have cable,
Right.
so she'll tune into that, and she gets so excited about it still. Even the ones she doesn't know, she's like, "Who's that guy? I'm not sure who that one is. I've been keeping up, but I ain't figured out who that guy is yet." And she's a trip. She cracks me up with it. She loves Roman Reigns. She likes Roman Reigns. That's her new Hulk Hogan, just because that's a good looking man, as my mom puts it.
I mean, first time I saw him in NXT, I was like, oh, he's got star written all over him. Little did I know he'd be one of the longest reigning champions of all time. But yeah, I get it.
Oh yeah. When he was working out at Florida Championship Wrestling,
yeah. I mean, plus that family is just, for the most part, that family is just kind of untouchable. Like, there's not a bad member of the family. I think they're almost all work there now, and it's well, they're definitely getting there, because I know, we have still the Jacob tattoos. We have the Zilla is making a name for himself in a both good and bad way, and I know we have others that are still in independence, but eventually I think most of them will make their way up. The fact that Jacob Tattoo I think is not signed is kind of bonkers to me.
I was surprised with that one. I don't know if it was maybe he didn't want to go, if there was other kind of political issues, or if there was. I know he had a little bit of heat there for a while with some of the other promotions, like financially and showing up, this and that. I don't know all the details.
Right.
He's always been super cool to me, so it's like I don't know the ins and outs of that. I'm just like, that's between him and the office and whatever they got going on.
Right.
But like, he's a hell of a dude. So like, why they haven't brought him up? And like, not a knock on any of the other ones. He's the most athletic one out there right now. Maybe next to Zilla. Zilla just came out, but he's still real green. But Jacob Fatu's amazing. I think he's at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling right now.
Oh, is he working down there?
I think he's down there right now, because I don't think he's with MLW anymore.
No, I know he's not with MLW anymore. I know he'll be here in the DFW area next month with GCW, with Zilla also. Yeah.
Well, that'd be interesting. Yeah. If he's working for Booker T and him down there at Reality of Wrestling and that, I'd give him 6 months and he'll probably show up on one of the other main, if not NXT, if on one of the other roster shows, doing something with the Samoans, him and Solo. Or
yeah, I think Solo would be be put in a tag team. I think just, not that he's not great as a singles, but I think just that extra little bit, especially working with somebody else or working with another big guy like Jacob Fatu, would just, I think, put him at another level.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Well, that was considering they split up the Usos, so I mean, that gives them another tag team, and they can even bring that back around and let them either feud or let them do another stable or whatever.
Nah,
my cough.
That's true.
I apologize. I'm getting over a cold.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better now.
Man, I was laid up for 4 days with this stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It just sapped me. I don't get sick very often, and when I do, usually I'm down for a day or so. And this just evidently it's been hitting everybody.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky enough to where I haven't gotten it. I mean, touch wood, but that's not, for now, I'm good.
You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you? Okay.
I'm still here.
Now, okay. For those that don't know, how would you describe Zodiak?
Well, that's a good question. My game is kind of interesting because it's a multitude of things. I always call myself wrestling's mass Doctor Strange. If you want to really break it down, because I have so many different variants of personas of the gimmick, but it's all wrapped into one. Right. So you never know what version you're going to get. So there's been so many incarnations of it, but it's always been me, but just a different version. You might have the post-apocalyptic rough and tumble version, and then you have the Zen version that's more Taoist and stuff.